we're going to kick off with some exciting announcements, including some details about our upcoming coach training intensive. It's going to be December 7th through the 9th. It's our last one of the year. So make sure if you are interested in joining us that you get your registration in and your seat secured. So be sure to stick around because we do have a special announcement about that at the end, maybe a little extra discount for you guys that hang on with us until the end. So stay tuned for that. Following a couple of those announcements, we'll jump into our discussion with our panel where we'll be posing thought-provoking questions about coaching to our incredibly talented graduates and our panelists that are joining us for today. So get ready to get inspired. We'll make sure that you keep your ear out for their really unique insights and experiences, how they're using coaching. Each of their stories is so powerful in their own way. So make sure that you clear as many distractions as possible and really be engaged with us as we dive in. Okay, let's see. So for any of you who may be joining us for the first time, if you're new to our CAP family, of course, the CAP Institute is an ICF accredited coach training provider that offers a comprehensive level 1 accredited program track that will help you either prepare for your ACC, if that's something that you are interested in, or will just provide you with some really good coach training, communication, and leadership skills along the way. By participating in our programs, those programs being our coach training intensive, our certified personal and executive coach program, or our mentor coaching experience, you will earn not only your certified personal and executive coach designation, you will also earn a level 1 certificate that will aid you in applying for an ICF credential later on down the line. If a credential is not something that you're interested in, you still get that certified personal and executive coach designation, you get that education, and you get all of those additional skills that you get to add to your toolbox. So it all starts with our 3-day coach training intensive. It's completely virtual. And again, our next one is December 7th through the 9th. So we hope to see you there. Be sure, if you don't already, to follow the CAP Institute on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Instagram. That's where you're going to get all of the latest news, events, discounts, deadlines, and opportunities as we journey through this coaching world together. So if you're not already plugged in with us on any of those platforms, make sure you give us a follow so you can be most up to date on everything that we have going on here. So now that we've gotten through the rules and kind of making sure that everybody knows how we're going to move forward in our conversation today, we're going to go ahead and welcome our panelists. So we have some fantastic graduates joining us today. We have Shane, we have Jessica, and we have Beth. So each of them is going to tell you a little bit about themselves. And so to kick off this session, I'm going to invite all 3 of you on. So if you don't already have your cameras on, which I believe you do, I invite you to turn those on now and tell us a little bit about yourself. So let's start with, let's see, Beth, you're the first on my screen, so you're going to be the lucky one to kick us off with introductions today.
All right, thank you. So I thank you for this opportunity, first of all, as it gave me an opportunity to just really sit and look at how I got here. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. So my name is Beth Gentner, and I am a recently retired physician assistant. I worked clinically for over 30 years in the same family practice in a community that it had been established in it's been there for over 70 years. It's still owned and operated by the independent physicians of the community. So it's a unique experience today to have that kind of a practice. My journey here, I kind of looked at how straight shot to CTI, and that happened as I was searching for a way to get away from the negativity and the commiserating and all kinds of things that we started to see as healthcare kind of changed everything about everything that we do. And so in 2017, I left clinical practice, quite honestly, because I just couldn't stand myself in the exam room anymore. I was having a really hard time aligning what I was told I was supposed to be doing, what I was licensed to do with all of that. And so I left clinical practice. I went into administration, and then I went into consulting, and then I went into consulting and equipping others who were starting their own businesses in healthcare. And through all of that experience, and with very little knowledge about what I was doing and extreme unknowns, I decided to start a consulting business on my own. And my husband, who I couldn't do without his support. So there I was wondering what I was doing. And I remembered that someone had told me that I should look into getting credentials as a coach. So I Googled best coaching programs, and there I found the CaPP Institute right at the top of the list. And I went to their website, and I spent maybe 2 minutes perusing their website. And then I got to the sign up now for the CTI. And they had an offer where you could sign up for the whole program 6 months later, if you signed up then, and you could cancel that program. And truly, honestly, that part about being able to cancel was what hooked me. And so I hit send, and I signed up for CTI, and I thought to myself, oh, 3 days, and then I'll probably cancel the rest. But a half hour into CTI, and I knew that I had found my way. And so I can now confidently tell you that I am a professional coach, and really always have been. It's just been with under other titles. But now through CTI and CPEC and MCE and the amazing people at CaPP, I now have the professional framework to build my coaching upon. And so I don't know exactly what's in store for my business, but I do know that I have the foundation through the CaPP Institute to do that. And CTI opened the doors to that.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Beth. There are a lot of things that make the CAP Institute really unique, and one of those things is the particular attention that our founder, Valerie Burton, put into making coaching accessible, making it a realistic next step where you can at least get started, you can test the water. You don't have to know wholeheartedly whether coaching is for you just yet. And the coach training intensive is a really good opportunity because, like you said, it's only 3 days. Worst case, you're still walking away with something. You don't feel like that time or that investment was wasted, even if you don't end up deciding that coaching is the best fit for you. So thank you for pointing that out. We do have a money back guarantee. So if you do the coach training intensive and our CPEC bundle up front, you're gonna save significantly whenever you do that. And you also have some a little bit of leverage to know that if you go through the coach training intensive and you determine that this isn't the best step for you, we'll refund you what you've spent on the CPEC program, so you don't have to worry about any investments going unused. So love that, and just really excited to see all that you've done with your coaching. As you heard from Beth, coaching sometimes isn't a one size fits all. Sometimes there are other services and there's other opportunities that you can include, whether it's consulting, whether it's mentoring. There's just a lot of different options and versatility that you can take with your coaching. So we're excited for you, Beth, and thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm going to head over. Yeah, I'm going to head over to Shane. Shane, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, the industry that you're serving, we would love to hear a little bit about you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alexis. Thanks for having me too. And Beth, you did such a great job of speaking to your journey, finding the CaPP Institute, and your journey was a bit similar to mine. I have a background actually in theater. I studied theater in New York City. I also studied education. I knew I wanted to either be an actor or be a teacher. And as I tried to support myself being an actor, I ended up in the retail space and the restaurant space. And from those spaces, I found a love for teaching. I found I was often told I needed to perform and sell and be a great employee. And oftentimes I didn't feel like I really had the support or training in order to be as great as I wanted to be. And so that's led me into a career in learning and development in the corporate space. So I do have a full-time job in learning and development. And as I was building leadership development programs in my corporate career, it kept coming up, coaching, because an older paradigm of leadership was that a boss tells you what to do and an employee says, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and they get to work. But the more modern paradigm is that work is changing every day. Expectations are changing every day. And a manager or a leader can't know all that every employee needs to know in order to be able to tell them what to do. So coaching is what really unlocks a leader's ability to lead and help employees become great at what they do. So as I was building coaching programs, in fact, I realized I needed even more experience, knowledge, exposure to coaching. That led me to the CaPP Institute. And so I currently coach in my full-time job in learning and development, and I use coaching as a kind of a side hustle for me. I take on clients. I do work outside of my full-time job because I can't stop coaching, and people look to me for that coaching support. So it's a really exciting mix to be able to use it in my day job and then expand on the magic of coaching outside of it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Shane. I do have a bit of a background in the arts, went to art school, so I completely understand that love and that desire that sometimes comes from just wanting to serve people and to bring them joy. And I think what's so interesting, again, you see the versatility of coaching. One thing that you mentioned about kind of that made me think about communication is that coaching is so much more than just showing up in a coaching session, coaching someone through, an obstacle, a dilemma, whatever the case may be. Coaching also becomes a mean of how you show up and how you communicate in non-coaching conversations, whether it's with your team, whether it's with your boss, whether it's with your family. There's so much that comes from understanding powerful questions, for understanding how to get someone from point A to point B. And sometimes they don't even know it. So there is just so much good that can come from having an understanding of coaching, for understanding how powerful questions can really guide people and help them get to where they want to be. So such an interesting story and background from you, Shane. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So last but not least, I know we've got a couple of questions to get into, but we also want to get a sneak peek into Jessica's background. So Jessica, if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself and the industries that you serve. Oh, let's see. You got Jessica. Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
There we go. There we go.
Okay,
It's okay.
I'm so
Four
sorry about
years
that.
into this, and Zoom is still just not our best friend yet, but that's okay.
All right, sorry about that. Well, again, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Alexis and Cap, thank you for this opportunity to share my journey as a coach. My name is Jessica Fairbanks. I completed my certification as a personal and executive coach at the CaPP Institute in 2023. Also an independent coach, a speaker, trainer with the Maxwell Certified Executive Team, which is where I met Valerie Burton. And she serves as a mentor coach with the Maxwell Leadership Team. Currently, I serve as an in-house coach advisor at a company I worked for over 17 years before I became a Maxwell executive coach. I fell in love with Valerie. That, like, when I saw her courses that she was offering at the Maxwell, I said, I gotta look this lady up because she was just amazing. I love her method of coaching. So I went ahead and researched her and did all my due diligence to make sure I can sign up for her course. So my passion has always been in leadership and team coaching. I love team coaching. So my passion led me to my growth, and my growth led me to my passion. I believe it aligns beautifully with my mission, which is empowering leaders and teams to build their capacity and co-create value so that we can have a high-performing organization. But I'm just really excited to be here. I learned so much from CTI, and I get to work with Valerie so often in her calls that she gives out. So I'm happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you, Jessica. Yeah, we love our Maxwell family. I know it's been a couple of years now that we've had the opportunity to work with Maxwell, and it's just really been a joy seeing how that crossover happens. Whether it's leadership, whether it's personal development. There's so much. That can be leveraged from understanding coaching and from coaching well. So, thank you to each and every one of you. We're so proud of all that you've done. As you know, as being a part of our CAP family, we are your biggest cheerleaders. We are so excited to see all the opportunities that you have and to see your growth as you continue on your coaching journey. So we're going to dive into a couple questions just to help everyone get a better understanding of what your journey has looked like, how coaching and coach training has played a part in that. So I'm going to hop back over to Beth with our next question. And it's really we just want to know, how have you seen yourself evolve as a coach throughout your journey? You know, Beth, you kind of mentioned that you kind of felt like you were a coach all along and just didn't really know exactly what it was. And then, of course, you got the training and was able to say, that's it. But how have you seen that progression, whether it's been starting your own coaching business, your consulting practice, or advancing your career options within a business or an organization that you've already been a part of?
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. So I also want to just call out to those of you that are on the call. We did not pre-plan all of this. So I just kind of want to call that out, because you're hearing things, and you will continue to hear things that are very similar in our stories. And I just want to kind of encourage you that your journey is as similar as ours, and you can find yourself in this whole conversation. So I just wanted to let you know this is not scripted. So and I love when that happens, that we all kind of come together connected at the end of something that's not scripted. Anyways, so to answer the question, Alexis, I have always been a liver of life and an observer of life. And this has served me well my entire life. It's helped keep me out of trouble. It's led me in a little trouble here and there, but it has made me someone who sees things from different perspectives. And I'm told that I see things differently than a lot of people do. And so what CTI and CPEC and MCE did for me was it really helped me to see myself differently through the gifts that other people see in me. But more importantly, I think it helped me to realize that people see my gifts as something that they desire from me. And that changed everything. It helped me see how I can show up for what people need or are looking for in any role that I'm playing, any job, any relationship. And that was a profound change for me. So, and Valerie and CaPP Institute's high standard for excellence really truly renewed my passion for being my very best for others. And what the whole program did was that now I have a way of looking at it to be my best for others. I really need to be my best for my well-being first. And so a lot of the work that goes into being a coach is learning how to self-coach. And so now I can show up every time at my best to be well ahead, no matter who I'm with or the circumstances that I'm in. And that's a powerful experience, and it gives you confidence and courage to kind of be that liver and observer, to take risks and So that's, I think, where I've seen myself change is really looking at not what gifts do I have that other people see, but what gifts can I share with other people that they are desiring.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know confidence. I've been with the company now for almost 10 years, and that word comes up so often, confidence. I think that oftentimes we have coaches who come through our program who know deep down that they want to do something that's purposeful. They want to make an impact in a big way and just don't know quite how to do it. And like you mentioned, Beth, they might get some of those signs or some of those nudges that show up in the form of people saying, wow, I'm really going to come to you when I have a problem because you helped me work through it so well. Or you should be a coach. Have you coached before? And, I think all of that really blends together and creates just such an impactful opportunity when it comes to coaching for the self. Like you said, some of that is internal work. It's things that you have to work through in order to show up well. And then it's also being able to make that impact for your clients. So just huge around the board. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, Beth. So Shane, I am curious, did you have any of those instances where you kind of had some nudges here or there that led you to believe that coaching might be the right fit for you? And then once you did get there and got some education and some training around it, how did that impact you?
Yeah, I've certainly had those nudges come. I think for me, where I got those nudges so often was in the place where I was trying to be helpful for folks, giving them lots of ideas. Could you try this? You could try this. How about this? What about this? They would often say, yeah, I tried it, or I could just tell the energy wasn't coming back my direction. They weren't so excited about all of my tips, suggestions, best practices. And uh, in working through, like, "Oh, I'm so helpful. I have such good ideas. Why are people not responding to these?" Coaching is where I learned that taking an approach to help them come to their insights, a client or a coachee come to their own insights, was a much more meaningful way to inspire that behavior change or that motivation that they were looking for from within. So, and there's lots of science that proves this. If I come to my own aha moment, to use Oprah's word, aha, I get this, I've got some new understanding, I'm much more likely to take action versus somebody saying, you should try it this way, right? And so
Yeah.
I think through my time with CAP and CTI and CPEC, what I really learned, I've really evolved by slowing down and not rushing to even asking a client, what do you want to do next? To not skip over all of the important meaning in the middle around what are the beliefs I might be bringing? What story might I be telling myself in my current situation? What am I really struggling with? What am I feeling here? And if we can honor all of those pieces, those components, then we can really uncover, what do I want to do next? What's my future look like? And I've been able to really provide more meaningful experiences for folks in coaching. And that's what keeps clients coming back to me as well, saying, I want to keep going.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting how many people come to the coach training intensive and leave feeling, wow, I feel like all of the pressure has been taken off of me, because I think there is this, stereotypical understanding that, oh, a coach comes and gives you all of the answers. But what coaching really is helping you come to those answers yourself. Because like you said, Shane, then you own them. Those are your thoughts. Those are your action steps, and you're so much more invested on something that you come up with than when someone tells you. I think back to teenagers all the time. Your parents are going to tell you what to do, but are you going to listen? Like, not most of the time. So that whole process of just expanding the thinking and helping client understand what all of their options are without any limitations, being heard fully. It's so interesting another piece that I hear often after the coach training intensive was, wow, this was the first time that I got to be a client, where I got to be in the position to be fully heard, to be not judged. And that is so powerful, and really takes a lot of pressure off of you as the coach to feel like you have to come with all of the answers. So much good stuff that we teach in the coach training intensive, as well as our 6-month course that follows. But that really is a huge piece to walk away with. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Shane. And of course, Jessica. So I know you've been working with Maxwell for a while, probably doing some sort of coaching. So I'm curious, since you've gone through the coach training intensive, since you've expanded on your coaching education, how has that impacted you? How have you seen yourself grow as a coach?
Yes. So I have just been really like blown away with CTI and everything that I've learned from CTI, just the business business development aspect of it. When my first entrepreneur experience was like back in 2001 as a restaurateur. It was a leap of faith and a labor of love. And I learned so much from my failure on my first business. But that never determined my next steps for me. But I've always believed that I had a particular calling in God's plan. And I was pretty sure that I was a part of a purpose bigger than I can ever imagine. I sold my business after that, and I applied to become a franchise owner of an operator for an operator as at a Chick-fil-A franchisee. But God had a different plan for me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, but I'm a survivor. I'm going on my 7-year survivorship. So then after that, I went ahead and completed my certification with CTI and CPEC from CAP. And like I mentioned, in the beginning, I was fortunate enough to continue to work as an in-house coach consultant at a company where I started, which is Chick-fil-A. My operator, Dave, who's also a fellow CTI CPEC colleague, he allowed me to work with 15 of his leadership and approximately 80 team members. I'm currently attending an MBA program in applied business studies, which is I'm really excited about. Just graduating from CTI, I've been really pushing myself, learning about business development, because what I knew as an entrepreneur, I thought I know it all because I had my own business. But the invaluable lessons that I've learned from CTI and CPEC has been tremendous. And the role of CAP in my life as a coach has been so valuable and amazing. And I want everyone that's here today to really look into it, because if you think you already know a lot about business, you're in for a treat.
We do pay special attention to the business development piece. We do not only want you to show up and coach well, but we want you to be set up well to earn a living from that. So if that's something that you're interested in, know that business development is something that we tackle from the time you go through the coach training intensive all the way through your CPEC certification. We really want you to be set up well for success across the board. We want you to be able to make an impact and to earn a living from that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Jessica. Thank you for being here. We definitely want to honor you and your story and being a breast cancer survivor. I know that it is the month of October, so just thank you so much for being here with us today. So as you can see, coaching doesn't look like one specific thing. It shows up in so many different industries. It shows up in so many different ways in leadership, in communication. There's really a versatility when it comes to deciding how you want how you want coaching to impact your life, whether you want it to be a side hustle, like Shane, you just want a little bit of an extra stream of revenue that you can leverage when you want. You can increase your hours when you want. You can decrease them when you want. You have complete control over your time, or it can be a full-time. It can be a full-time gig. It can be your own practice. It can be being hired as a coach in a corporate setting. So many different opportunities, so many different ways in which coaching can be used. So I hope that if you haven't really thought about how what you're doing now can incorporate coaching, I hope that this broadens that a little bit for you and helps you understand and see that it's probably an option for you to incorporate coaching in some way. What we've seen even in the corporate setting is that businesses and organizations understand the benefit of coaching, of those skill sets, and being able to add them to the leadership that they already have. And so they actually will sometimes pay for their employees to go through the coach training intensive to understand how coaching becomes a form of communication and how that impact goes much further than just the one person that you're talking to. So all of that to say that if coaching is something that you are considering, the coach training intensive is a really good step to better understand if that is right for you. Obviously, we know that coaching is a little bit of a younger industry than some of the other professions. And so some people might be a little skeptical. They might be like, I'm not really sure if coaching works. They might need a little more, I don't want to say convincing, but confidence in knowing that coaching is something that's practical and it's something that you can really use in your day-to-day lives. So one thing that we'd like to do next is to share some success stories. So I'll go through each of our panelists, and if you could just share a specific example or story that comes to mind that highlights how your coaching or your training has impacted someone else. I think that would be really awesome to share as well. So I'm going to head back over to you, Beth. Do you have a story or a example that you can share with us about how coaching has really shown up and been impactful?
Yeah, so I have lots of stories, but I chose one that really relates directly to CTI. And so I had gone back to clinical practice for a short time, mainly to have a source of income as I was starting my business. And when I went back, I was different because I had consulted in all of these different experiences. And so I really was working very hard to get the negativity and the commiserating and that kind of stuff out of my exam rooms with my patient visits. And I was struggling with it, and it still felt negative and all of those things. And so when I went through CTI and I marinated for 3 days in the positive psychology and the servant mindset and all of those things, and it was over a weekend, and I went back on Monday and I went to the exam room and I'm like, this shouldn't be that hard. So I went and I just started taking down all the things that we have to post. How much you have to pay for a family medical leave paperwork, and the rules and the policies and all those things that we had posted in all these exam rooms. And I just started taking them all down, didn't ask permission. And then I started putting up positive, encouraging artwork on the walls. And I'm telling you that was immediately curative for myself, my patients, and many of my coworkers. And just that simple act of marinating in positive outlook and mindset and servant heartedness. And so what that started to do is I would walk in exam room and patients would be taking pictures of the artwork that they were inspired by. And our visits were instantly different. And at a couple of visits, I just took the artwork off the wall that they were inspired by because I felt like they needed to carry it away with them. And I just gave it to them and they carried it away with them. And the profound thing for me, and as I went on in the program, I realized that this is really one of the keys to coaching, is that I didn't have to say a word to make that change. And so it showed the positive profound effect of silence in a safe space. And people started to reflect to me that I was changed and that I was now walking in my calling. And I didn't have to struggle any longer to give people what they desired from me. And that all came from 3 days of CTI.
Wow. And that is so huge. I mean, like you said, you didn't even have to say anything. All you had to do was apply what you learned at CTI about positive impact, about creating safe spaces, what that looks like, what that feels like, and that was able to make such an impact on the clients that you served there. And I mean, the medical industry in general has the opportunity to be on the negative side. Sometimes, quite often, you're talking about, disease and illness and diagnoses that aren't always the best. So creating a space that makes people feel good and empowered and walk away in a better place is so, so, so powerful. That's a beautiful story, Beth. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Not one that I think you would. I'm so glad that you picked that story, because I think it's one that shows all of the little impacts of incorporating coaching and positive psychology into your life that just spills over into other places. And so the exam room being one of them. So what a beautiful story. Love that, Beth. Thank you so much. Shane, I'm going to head over to you. Can you share an example or a story with us that really highlights coaching or coach training, education, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, absolutely. As I think about this question, I think about a client that I was working with for a while during the CPEC program. And really, this client wanted to crush her goals at work. She wanted to, brush up on her skills. She wanted to level up, but looking for a promotion at work. And so we were doing a lot of exploration in what were her goals and how could she get there. And something that kept coming up in our conversations was this friend of hers, who she wasn't speaking to anymore. And I could tell there was some emotion when she would bring up this friend. So after I built some trust with her, I paused and said, "You keep bringing up this friend. Would you care to explore more? Tell me what's going on." And she ended up revealing, this friendship that was, one of the deepest friendships she had, that because of something that happened at a previous job, they worked together, they were no longer speaking, and it was really, really weighing on her. And so we ended up taking the time to dig deeper into that, explore why she was feeling such emotion, uncover, what she ultimately wanted with this friendship, how she wanted to heal, how she wanted to try to rekindle this friendship. And she was able to make some really big moves in that way. And so I think, had I not been through training with CAP, I might not have had the courage to pause and say, "You keep bringing up this friend. It's not connected directly to the goal you stated up front." But because I built the trust and had the tools to say, "Let's go here if you're open to it," she was able to make, such a big difference in her life with this friend that she might not have had she and I not worked together.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. I think that some words that you said that stuck out, definitely confidence. And what comes to mind is intuition. So, coach training really helps you understand when it's appropriate to lean into that intuition as a coach, making sure that you're offering that opportunity in a way that is receptive to the client, that is open, that is client centered. That's another word that we like to um, use. And what's interesting is coaching sessions sometimes allow the client to hear back things that they're saying and they don't even realize it. But as the coach, you create that space and that opportunity to explore everything. And so that really is just such a wonderful way of seeing how coaching can be a catalyst to much deeper things. It's not always superficial things, or I shouldn't say superficial, but things that are easy to identify. So I have a specific goal at work that I'd like to get to, or I'd like to make X amount of dollars. Sometimes what's holding you back from achieving those goals is beneath the surface. And you've got to, like you said, build that confidence, build that trust, use that intuition. And you really highlighted something that clearly seems like made such a big impact for her. So thank you, Shane, for sharing that with us. And of course, Jessica, can you share with us a story or an example of a client that you've worked with or a situation that you've been in where your coaching or your coach training has helped?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a verse that I love in the Bible. It's called, it's from Proverbs. It's 27:17. It says, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. And that's what CTI was for me. It really opened up so many opportunities for me to rethink, reevaluate what leadership that I've known for 2 decades. I am here to tell you that there is this value that is communicated here today at Real Talk. What I've learned from Coach Training Intensive is that it's more than a program for me. It really is unlearning what I'm really good at, which is solving problems. I had to unlearn how to solve problems and fix everything. My biggest challenge was the core competency 8, which was facilitate clients' learning and growth. And I had to break my bad habit of wanting to solve the problem, but rather focus on being a partner and develop a genuine curiosity about the client. And so what I learned is that I need to see the client as a whole, resourceful, capable, and creative being. And being a leader, for me, I just want to solve everything. And my first exam at CTI was I needed to correct that because I wanted to fix all the problems that the person that I'm coaching, because I didn't know that you can, on day one on CTI, you can start coaching, which was like, it threw me off. And my instinct was I wanted to solve the client's problem right away. And I truly value what I learned from CTI, and that as coaches, we are to be useful, not helpful. And to unlearn that as a leader was a huge thing for me, because in my business where we're at, we want to solve problems instead of allowing the team to really co-create and to really add value and to have that collective thinking that we're smart and we need to remove the lid from a person and really allow them to discover their potential. And CTI did that for me. And I'm just really, really grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah, yeah. Again, just so much pressure gets released when you realize how capable your client is of getting to their own answers, of getting to their own means of getting to those goals. Sometimes they just need the space, they need the powerful questions, they need the guidance to get there. But so capable. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. I know we do want to, of course, give the opportunity for questions, but before we do, I'm going to quickly run through everybody and ask each of our panelists real quick if you could give a piece of advice for an aspiring coach, somebody who might be interested in coaching. Maybe they came to the website and said, "Oh, I'm not sure if this is for me." What advice would you offer to someone who's considering pursuing training? It can be just, a sentence or two. But of course, having gone through training yourselves, you've been on both ends of the spectrum. So Beth, I'll start with you, and then I'll run through each of our panelists quickly, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So Beth, what advice would you offer for an aspiring coach?
Yeah, so I think, especially looking at joining CTI, if I would just look at, if you can commit your imagination, then sign up and see who you meet along the way, and not only in yourself, but in your classmates and the CaPP Institute. And I would just tell somebody, this isn't the quickest way to make a lot of money as a coach, but it sure might be the beginning of the best adventure of your life.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Beth. Shane, what would you say to somebody who said, I'm interested in coaching, but I'm just not sure if I should take the first step?
Yeah, I think if you're interested and you're not sure, see if you can attend another one of these, find reviews from the program, reach out to folks on LinkedIn who've been through the program, hear more testimony. I think meeting the folks in the program has been one of the biggest benefits for me. Jessica and I went through CPEC together. We started an accountability group and we still meet twice a month with some other folks. A couple of them were even on the line today. And so it's a great way to expand your network, to get support from others, and learn so much good stuff about all the humans in this world.
Yeah, our CAP community, and I know I might be a little biased, but I promise I'm not. Our CAP community is fantastic. Again, you're not going to find people who are going to be able to support you, who are going to cheer you on, who are going to celebrate your wins with you, offer suggestions, advice. I see all the time in our private Facebook page for those who may be just starting up a business. They might have questions. Should I use this platform? Do you have this suggestion for a booking site? And it's just beautiful to see all of our graduates, those who have been in this industry for a long time, those who have just entered it, really support and help each other get to where they want to be. So thank you so much for pointing that out, Shane. You are right. Our CAP community is fantastic. So even if you just want the opportunity to network, to learn from people that are using coaching in all different ways, we definitely would encourage you to come for the coach training intensive and get the chance to meet all of our fantastic graduates. And of course, last but not least, Jessica, what would you say? What advice would you give for an aspiring coach or someone who's interested and not quite sure if coaching is right for them?
Yes. So I was taught that there are two great days in a person's life: the day you were born and the day you discover why. If there's one thing I would want to leave with you from this experience, is get a mentor or a coach. Start attracting like-minded people. Begin with what Shane was talking about, with like 6 to 8 coaches. Create a support system. The people that you will meet at CTI will be one of the most genuine people. I love our group that we meet with, and sometimes we don't ever get to meet every week. Coach Valerie says on one of her podcast episodes, she says, this is how successful people think. You need to build a strong support system, because raising tides raises all ships. And you need to create an accountability around learning one core competency or ICF code of ethics in each of your meetings that will help prepare you for your next level of designation with ICF. And CTI program and the people at CTI and CPEC, that's what they were to me, and we meet every week. And sometimes if we don't get to meet all the time, we would set up a time where we say, okay, we'll meet on the first or the last part of the month. But surround yourself with the people that you've met at CTI and continue on, because we started last year, like Shane said, in July, and we're still together. And I learned so much from the group of coaches I'm surrounded with.
Yeah, it just warms our heart to see the connections that are made, and we don't facilitate those. We just create a space for all of you to meet, and all of that connection happens so organically and so authentically, and it's beautiful to see the friendships that bloom and blossom out
Yes.
of the coach training intensive, and they follow through into the CPEC program. It is really just a great community to be a part of. So, from our graduates who, as you can see, have such amazing stories and backgrounds and experiences that they're coming with, to our faculty who have been with us for years. Our faculty have been with us since the launch of the program back in 2010, 2011. They they come with their own wealth of knowledge, background, experiences that are ready to just pour into you and want you to show up and be the best coach that you can be. So whether that's at the Coach Training Intensive, whether it's through our CPEC program, we're just excited and thrilled for the opportunity to serve you. And we really hope that you will join us. So now that we've heard from our amazing panelists, we've gained some really good insights, heard some really good stories, we are going to open up for a couple of questions before we officially wrap for our Real Talk with Real Coaches conversation. But before we dive into that, we want to remind you we have our upcoming Coach Training Intensive. It's going to be December 7th through the 9th. That is our last one of the year. So if you're interested in starting the journey, if you made it a goal for yourself in 2024 to get started, now is the chance to do it, and you will not regret it. December 7th through the 9th is our last Coach Training Intensive of the year. And we have a really special exclusive offer just for you because you joined us today, because you've been a part of this conversation with us. You will get a special discount code. So for anyone who's been following our registration deadlines and early bird opportunities, you'll know that our $200 off discount period, $100 off discount period just started. The $200 one just ended. And if you use the code preview, then you will get an additional $100 off, meaning you'll still save $200 when you register for the Coach Training Intensive. This is the final discount of the season. It's the biggest opportunity that you're going to have to save, and it's only going to be available until this Friday at midnight Eastern time. So that preview code is going to be in the chat. It's preview, PREVIEW. Make sure to use that coupon code when you are registering, and you'll get that extra special discount. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enhance your coaching skills, to transform your practice, whether you already have a coaching practice, whether you're thinking about launching your own practice. The Coach Training Intensive is the best next step for you, and we're excited for the opportunity to serve you there. We're going to put the registration link and the promo code, of course, in the chat for you, and you'll also get it via email when you get this replay of Real Talk with Real Coaches. So keep an eye out on your inbox. We'll be sending out that replay so you can revisit and share this information as you'd like. If you know anybody else that might be interested in coaching, send this to them. Give them a little peek in on what our graduates have to say about the CaPP Institute. So let's go ahead and open up the floor. We've got a couple more minutes for questions. You can type any questions that you have directly in the chat. You can raise your hand. You can take yourself off mute. We want to hear from you. So let's hear them. Let's hear any questions that you might have for myself, the CaPP Institute, our panelists, maybe any of their story or their background that you'd like to know a little bit more about. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Alrighty, let me see. Pull my computer over here. All right. Let's see. Okay, got a question about how many CTI sessions are there per year. So if you are on with us today and you know that the December date doesn't work for you, we do host the Coach Training Intensive quarterly 4 times a year. So you're going to have an opportunity to join us early 2025 if this December training doesn't work for you. However, we definitely encourage you to get in when you can, because as soon as you get started, you can really hit the ground running on your coaching journey. So that's how many times we have them. We'll have them 4 times a year. This December training is the last one for 2024. So make sure to get registered if that's something that you're interested in. Let's see. Okay, question for Shane. Let's see. How manageable is coaching on the side along with a full-time job? I think this is a really good question for anybody who might not want to take on coaching full-time. Shane, can you give us a little insight on how you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for me, a key to my success is just understanding how much time and mental space or energy can I devote to coaching on the side, and I get to make that choice. So if there are weeks or months where I feel like I've got the capacity, I make sure that I make myself available for folks. I use tools like Calendly to show my availability so folks can book me, to try to automate that process. And that's a tool I learned about from other folks in the CAP program. So thanks to my fellow coaches out there. But I think ultimately I get to decide how much time I spend. So it's really manageable in that way. And if I am out of capacity, I let prospective clients know I've got a wait list. And then sometimes that makes them want to work with me even more. So there are lots of great ways you can manage your capacity in order to make sure you don't overcommit.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Shane. Again, it really is what you want it to be. You can take on as many or as little as fit in your individual schedule. You can set your own schedule. If you only want to coach on the weekends because you have a full-time job during the week, that's an option. You can do evenings, you can do mornings. One thing that's really great about coaching too is that it can be done over many different platforms. It can be done virtually, it can be done in person. So you really have flexibility to make it fit what works best for you. Yeah, thank you for that, Shane. Beverly, I see your question. Will Valerie teach the December class or other leaders? So with the coach training intensive, Valerie is your lead trainer for the intensive. She is supported by two of our co-trainers, LaFern Beatty and Kimberly DeBrule, who, again, like I mentioned earlier, our faculty have been with us for the long run. So they really have the background, the experience, and have put in the time to really share with you and to help you be the best coach that you can be. So you will hear directly from Valerie. You'll be led by her for the coach training intensive. As we go into the CPEC program, we do have a team of faculty members with all different backgrounds, some from the University of Pennsylvania, gone through the same Master's in Applied Positive Psychology course as Valerie, all with a wealth of coaching experience in all different industries. So yeah, you will get that too. All righty, let's see. Yeah, Chris giving Shane a little shout out there. Yep, do what you can do, whatever energy that you have to give, that is what you can do. Let's see, what methods did you use to advertise your coaching service to gain clients? Labrisha, I see your question. Unfortunately, we don't have quite as much time to dig into that question today as we're almost at the top of the hour, but we do want to share that marketing yourself is something that we talk about along with the business development piece in CTI as well as CPEC. So you will get some exposure to that right off the bat with your coach training intensive education, and then you really get to dive deep into marketing efforts, services, how you show up, who your niche audience is, how you talk to them, all of that really good stuff in the CPEC program as well. Okay, last question real quick. We're at the top of the hour. Does CPEC happen right after CTI, or is there a wait time? So you have the option. So you only have to go through the coach training intensive once to be able to enroll into any CPEC program that follows that. So whether that's the immediate next CPEC program, which runs every 6 months, if you need some time, if your schedule needs to be worked out in order to accommodate the CPEC program, then you can do that too. You can wait the following year. They run on 6-month cycles. So every January we have a new CPEC cohort, and every July we have a new CPEC cohort begin. So you can pick whichever one works best for you. You don't have to dive right into it unless that's something that you would like to do. If you want to fast track, that's an option. You can go back to back to back, knock it all out, or you can wait and pick the time that works best for you. So thank you. I know if we didn't get to your questions, please don't hesitate to shoot us an email at info@capinstitute.com. We want to make sure to answer any and all questions that you might have about the CAP Institute, about our graduates. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to our fantastic panelists. We should definitely give all of them a round of applause for just being with us, for sharing with us. We so appreciate it. We're rooting for each and every one of you. Can't wait to see what fantastic opportunities you have and to cheer you on along the way. So just a reminder, Coach Training Intensive, the last one of the year, December 7th through the 9th. Use that preview code that's in the chat when you register to save an additional $100 off. Thank you so much. We will see you next time for Conversations with the Coach, Real Talk for Real Coaches. Goodbye, everybody.